Did you always know that you wanted to be a writer, or is it something that you figured out later in life?
I always loved books and authors. Like, authors were rock stars to me. And I think I was reading an interview with Jude Devereaux where she said she became an author because she read a book one weekend, she didn't like the ending, and she was like, I can do better. Wow. And it was that moment that I was like, I want to be an author too. Like, she sat down the next day and started writing, and I remember thinking, that's what it takes. Like, that to be a writer, all you have to do is sit down and start writing. Because it was before the internet. And like, now if you want to be an author, you can go to my blog, you can go to anyone's blog and see how they got there. But back then, I didn't know. And so at that point I was like, this is what I want to do. I took a detour through law school, and then I started practicing, and I was like, I don't want to do this. If I could do anything, what would it be? And the answer was a writer. So yeah.
Do you think that any of your law background influences the way you write?
I think that a little bit, yeah, because I think sort of as a lawyer, when you're like drafting a complaint or something like that, you learn how to bury the bad information. So you sort of learn how to structure paragraphs so that the information you want comes out and is really emphasized, and the bad stuff is sort of de-emphasized. And so when you're making sure to like plant a clue that you don't want them to you don't want a reader to really notice, you can sort of bury it, and then they can recall it later. But if you have information that's really important, you need to make sure to like front load it in a paragraph.
If someone hasn't read your books before, what could you say that is a theme in them or something that they would like about it?
That's interesting, because my first series is a zombie trilogy, and then I have a middle grade series that's magical, and then a contemporary thriller that just came out, that's Daughter of Deep Silence. And I think the theme through all of them is finding yourself, is figuring out what matters to you, and finding that sort of like grounding principle that's going to take you through life.
Why do you think that's so important?
Well, I think it's really important because I think it's not just teens who are struggling to figure out who they are and what they want to be when they grow up. I mean, I think as adults, we sort of think about those things as well. But I think it's important to know that you are not just your experiences, that you can have a bad experience and move on from it, and that you can find a new way to be, that you don't have to be what everyone expects of you. And I think that it's really important for people to see that.
You have all these different worlds and different things. Does it come from you saying, oh, I really like magic, or I like zombies? Or do you think of the characters, or do you think of some people say they see a picture? How does it work for you?
That's a good question. I think with the middle grade, it's all about imagination, falling in love with story. And I co-write that with my husband. And so with those, like our guiding principle is always coming back to fun. You know, what's going to make a young reader want to turn the page?
What do you have that's coming next?
Oh my goodness. So the next book I have coming out is in a couple of weeks. It's the second book in the Map to Everywhere series, which is the middle grade with my husband. The second book's called City of Thirst.
Can you share any details?
Any details of it? Yeah, it's set on a river of magic, and they find a walled city where the city is constantly sliding down the wall, and they're constantly unbuilding from the bottom and rebuilding at the top, which is causing it to fall. And their obsession is just building on the top, just to be on top type thing. And so it was sort of fun playing around with that.
Okay, exciting news.
Yes. So this week, Variety reported that Maisie Williams, who plays Arya Stark on Game of Thrones, is in negotiations to play Mary in the Forest of Hands and Teeth movie. Wow. And Doug Liman, who produced the Edge of Tomorrow and the Bourne Identity movies, he is signed on to produce, and Kate Maberly, who was the star in Secret Garden, is signed on to direct. Wow. And it is an amazing team. I was able to talk to Kate the other day, and it's just, she gets it. She's passionate about it. Like, I ended the conversation and called my husband, and was like, I think this is going to happen. Like, this is so exciting. So it's been really fun. And I just think Maisie is brilliant for the role. Are
you going to be involved in the actual production?
Honestly, I want to be a zombie. Like, more than anything. I just want to gnaw on somebody a little bit, just because I can't wait to see how they do that makeup, and that's about as much of a role, because I'm not an expert in movies. You know, I know what I like to see, but I sort of figure, let the movie experts figure out how that works.